What a fun game, huh? For the old Gamecocks. So I thought it was. I thought the guys did a great job. Had unbelievable energy. I thought multiple times during the game we fed off of the crowd, which was spectacular. They tell me it was a record number of students that were here, and we had a sellout. So there were multiple times that our guys fed off of that. All it took was one good play, and then they got energized and juiced by the crowd, and so that was awesome. I was thankful for that. But yeah, we went out and we defended at such a high level. I couldn't be any happier and prouder of what we did on the defensive side of the ball. And honestly, that's what all of our timeouts were about, was what we were doing defensively. Offensively, honestly, we keep it pretty simple offensively. They know what to do. They know who they are. I call some plays here and there, but mainly they just go hoop on the offensive end. But defensively, we needed reminders, I think, to just keep at it. And boy, what a job they did for the whole game defensively against a team that clearly is a talented offensive group. So big-time win for our guys, big-time win for our program, for our institution, for our city, and for our state too, and the guys and their families. So.
David on the left.
Lamont, not just tonight, but really the past two games, you guys have gone right at opponents in the post, despite maybe not being the biggest team in the league. Just what led to that philosophy, and what are you seeing that's working there?
I've been an inside-out guy. I mean, I think everybody will talk about the fact that I like threes. I mean, we've had some games where we shot 26 threes and didn't make a whole bunch of them, but I like it to start on the inside, honestly, and then it sends a message, I think, and I've just have always been that way. But I thought there were a couple matchups that we could take advantage of. I thought Josh in particularly, I thought if they threw Big Z in the game, that we would try to sub in and have Josh lay his mass against his body and see how that turned out. And Josh did some good things. He caught the ball and pivoted, which seems as basic as it is, but when you're in that moment and you got a guy out there and to catch it and pivot and make a strong move, he did a really good job of that. So we obviously got some real good minutes from Josh. But even BJ, we got BJ down there, Colin. I like to be aggressive around the basket if we can, and then I think that opens up things on the perimeter as well.
You talked a lot before last season and through last year about building an identity, kind of what you wanted this program to look like. How much of that performance, not even just the result, how much did that look like maybe what you envisioned when you had a blank slate here last summer?
Yeah, a great question. I think that's exactly what I want it to look like. I think that is exactly what I want it to look like. I think we did things that were reproducible. That was the biggest thing. I think the stuff that we did was reproducible. It was within our control, a lot of it. They took and made some tough shots, but someone asked me a question before about the pace of the game, and I said, if the biggest difference that you'll notice in the pace of the game, if it's really going the way that I want it to, is that they will have to spend more time searching for a shot that they like. And I think that's what happened for the most part. Either that or you'll shoot early and it'll be a shot that, we're kind of willing to concede that you're going to shoot that one. And so I think it bore out that way. That's what we did. But, yeah, certainly when you talk about sharing the ball, moving the ball, a couple of times we didn't even get a great situation, but we moved the ball. The ball was popping. I just thought the ball was moving all over the place out there, and that was good for us on the offensive end. So those are my two basic philosophies. Offensively, get it moving. I like guys that can do a little something around the basket. I like guys that can make threes. Everybody knows that. Get the ball popping. The rest will take care of itself. Make some good decisions, and then you got to play your rear end off on the defensive end, which these guys did.
Amanda in the way back.
Coach, in your
In your non-conference, you talked a lot about confidence and building the confidence in this team, but you had a student ticket record. It was a sellout the second time this season, so that's belief. These kids came in here believing that you guys could do this. How did you build belief tonight, and why is that important?
Yeah, I mean, I think the belief started with our own guys. I mean, our guys were out on campus, and we got such likable guys, honestly, that I imagine they have droves of friends on campus. They're great personalities and good guys. But I think it starts internally with their confidence as players, and then their confidence within one another, and then their confidence in our plan. Because that's crazy to say, but some guys don't have a lot of confidence in what the plan is because it doesn't suit what they want to do. And these guys have given themselves completely to what our mission is and what our overall plan is. But it starts with their confidence, but then to win some games and to put a product out there that the students have gotten behind, and the city has gotten behind, and the state has gotten behind. And so it's what I keep saying is that these guys are worthy of the support. You know, we've got a good record. We could probably have not quite as good a record, they're still worthy of all the support. It's a great group of guys, and so it's fun to watch them reap the benefits of all the work that they've put in.
Coach, Talon seemed to have a great game tonight, both offensively and defensively speaking. What can you say about his performance, and what do you think it says about this team that, maybe Michi doesn't have the greatest night in terms of shooting percentages, but you have a guy like Talon right next to him who can, pick him up and help him out?
Yeah, Talon is the consummate winner. He's been on a mission in this last stop in his journey to have a lot of success. He came from Minnesota where he didn't have much success, and before that he was playing in the NCAA tournament, right? And so I think he wanted to make sure that success is something that this team achieves, and so he gives himself to the team. He doesn't care, and but it's nice. Our team is not built. Every team's going to have a leading scorer. But our team's not built around depending upon one person to have to score. Certainly, Michi's our leading scorer, and we need him to have his foot on the gas pedal. Trust me. But in any particular game, it's going to be Talon or Colin or BJ's had big games or Kobe's come up with a bunch of shots or Zach's had 12 points in the last game, or there's a lot of guys. And that's kind of the way that we do it. I called a couple plays for Michi. The way our offense works, I don't predetermine that I'm going to call 9 plays for this guy or call a bunch of plays for that guy. We get in the flow of the game, and as opportunities present themselves, guys take advantage of those, and guys that are playing better tend to be a little more aggressive. Guys that are playing with someone that's playing really well tend to look for guys a little bit more, and that's the beauty of having an unselfish team. That's also the beauty of having a team that's got a lot of versatility on the offensive end.
Lamont, in the first half and the second half, there was a stretch where Kentucky made some shots and were coming back. They opened a lead in the first half. Second half, they're coming back on you guys. Yet you guys were able to kind of stop that and answer back. What does that say about the group you have, that they didn't get snowed by a team that scores more points than anybody else in college basketball?
I don't think we talked about it coming in, that I don't want to sound – I want to talk with no level of arrogance at all. But our guys believe that whoever we play, that game will be the best defense that they've gone against. And so that doesn't mean that a team's not going to score a bunch of points on us. But I think they have accepted that challenge, and they wanted to prove that. So they come into the game believing, having had 19 games now of evidence, they come into the game believing that if they do what they need to do on the offensive end, and they have a pretty decent offensive day, that they should end up winning the game or having a great chance. And that's no matter who they play. They believe that their defensive principles are reproducible for the most part. They keep it simple on the offensive end. And so, like me, I hope to have a pretty normal offensive day. And if we can do better than that today, we did better than that, right? We shot the ball well, but then we end up, we're up 18 points because we shot the ball well. Without shooting it well, maybe you're up only a couple or here or there. But they have a lot of belief. They have a lot of belief in themselves and what we do, and they're a confident group.
Lamont, if someone would have told you at this time last year that you guys would be 16-3 and just, upset Kentucky, what would you kind of have to say?
I don't know. I would have probably said, where are we ranked? I'm kidding. That's a sideways statement, but I don't ever look at things in a way that, we were and are still focused on getting better and being better and building. That's my job, is to build something that we can reproduce over and over again. That's what I've done in my career. That's where I've been, and I know what those results look like. So that was our mission, was to continue to build this year, and we've done that. When I look at our culture, when I look at the character of the human beings that I have in my locker room, we have built. And then they also are good basketball players. They're also incredible competitors. They also get along well. They also all these other things. But we were focused on building, and we have done that. We'll continue to do that. It's a good team. We got a lot of work to do. It's a fun game, this game, but, got a lot more, and we haven't really done anything. A lot of people are surprised, maybe we got a couple guys that are a little surprised themselves that you go out there and you're up 20 almost at one point or not. But, again, we're just really focused on just getting better and seeing if we can get as close as we can to our ceiling. That is just our main mission, is just how close to our ceiling as a unit can we possibly get.
On Tuesday after the loss to Georgia, you alluded to some defensive principles that you thought you guys didn't really clean up or execute really well. What was going into the process of here these last two games, being able to kind of hone in on those, and then how were y'all able to execute that tonight against an offense that's as prolific as Kentucky's? Yeah,
I think we went back to the drawing board on a couple things. We had a couple practices that were not your typical January practices. They probably looked like stuff you would normally do in October when practice starts. And we went back to some basics on some very fundamental things, blocking out, and that showed itself today. Like, they got 2 or 3 over-the-back calls in the first half, right? While that seems so mundane, it's nothing. Those things count and they matter. And so we normally do a 2-day prep. Once you get into conference play, you're normally playing Saturday, Tuesday, or Saturday, Wednesday. And so you do a 2-day prep of practice, and oftentimes both of those practices are geared towards the other team and what they do. On these last 2 games, we only did 1-day prep, and then 1 day was us. I just felt like, and I mentioned in that game, we needed to get back to some basics. And so we were able to do it. We were able to block out. We were able to stay in front of the ball incredibly well in these last 2 games against some uber-talented offensive guys, super quick. I mean, Dillingham, holy smokes. But we did a good job of staying in front of guys and making them shoot shots that are a little more difficult.
This felt like a little bit of a coming-out game for Colin Murray-Boyles. What did you see out of him from a all-around game standpoint, and what was he able to do to limit them inside, being not quite the size of those guys, but competing so well? He's got some special gifts, Colin does. I mean, his potential is limitless. I mean, he's nowhere close to what he should be able to get to as a player. His ceiling is so high. He's a special guy when he gets to it. But even now, in the short term, he's just got a knack for finding the ball, getting a hand on a ball. His athleticism. He's an explosive athlete. He's got a great sense of anticipation. He plays hard. He's not afraid to be physical.
and he's an explosive athlete. He's an explosive athlete. He's about as SEC of an athlete as there possibly could be, in my estimation, and he uses it functionally. Some guys can only run and jump and dunk from the free throw line with two hands, but aren't able to go full speed one direction and then turn it into full speed the other direction very effectively. He's a tremendously functional athlete that also knows how to play, that also has good touch and good feel for the game, and he's a great team guy too.
You mentioned how much defense means to you. Coach Cal was just in here and said that you guys are the best defensive team in the SEC, and his guys weren't ready for the physicality you brought today. You know, what does that mean to you, and how does that help you going forward?
It feels good. I mean, it feels good. It's kind of like if you have kids and someone that hasn't seen, you see your kids every single day, and then somebody that hasn't seen your kids comes 6 months later and says, man, Johnny got so much taller. And you're like, you don't recognize the fact that he's gotten taller. It's kind of like that. I'm with him every day. We're working hard every day. And so to have somebody, obviously this guy's been around a long time, and obviously he knows that this is a good team that he has, and particularly a good offensive team. So to hear him say that it's great to hear. It's encouraging. It's good stuff we'll share with the guys. But they've bought into that side of the ball. They've committed to that side of the ball. No one gets a lot of recognition. I don't know who was the defensive player of the year last year. I'm not sure. But as a unit, I think if you can lock into that side of it, and these guys have, I can't give them enough credit for putting their own individual offensive wishes and dreams on the side and subbing out for just complete and total commitment to what we're doing as a group, and especially on the defensive side.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks.